Thank you, and good evening again. Welcome to the second part of our concert tonight by the Fairfield Municipal Band. And hope you were able to catch the jazz band that played before our concert tonight. And I did forget to mention that jazz band, for our second year in a row, we get to go to the State Fair and play this coming Saturday. So we played last year, and they took us back this year. So I don't know. So anyway, we're going up Saturday morning to play. 11 o'clock on the Mid-America Energy stage. So, if you're wandering around and need a place to sit in the shade for a while, there it is. So anyway, our first piece that we played for this part of the concert was a Carl King March, and it was written for and dedicated to the Iowa composer Meredith Willson of Music Man fame. Both King, the composer of the march, and Wilson were Iowa people, and they knew each other very well. The title of the march was The Hometown Boy. Our next piece is written in a bold ceremonial and celebratory style, written for the opening ceremonies of the American School Bandmasters Association. It was written back in 1956, but it's still one of the most popular and played band pieces. Here's a festival prelude. Here it is. Our next piece is the music from Hamilton. It's an American musical written, composed, and lyrically crafted by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's a revolutionary synthesis of hip hop, R&B, jazz, and traditional musical theater, and even historical dance forms. If you haven't heard the music from the show for a while, we are here to reacquaint you with it and some of the songs. Our medley tonight contains You'll Be Back, Helpless, My Shot, Dear Theodosia, It's Quiet Uptown, and One Last Time. Here's Sweet from Hamilton. We'll have Tyler come to the front. He'll be doing the next couple songs.
Palladio is a piece originally composed for string orchestra by Carl Jenkins, which was inspired by the mathematical harmony and balance found in the architecture of Andrea Palladio. The first movement, which is what we'll be playing tonight, known for its driving rhythms and bold energy, has become iconic, famous for use in diamond commercials that brought it wide recognition. Jenkins blends classical form with a modern cinematic flair, making Palladio a wonderful work for all to enjoy. Going from the theme of commercials to movies, the Captain America March was first composed by Alan Silvestri for the 2011 film Captain America: The First Avenger. With bold brass, strong rhythms, and a heroic theme, it captures the patriotic spirit and courage of the iconic Marvel superhero. This stirring march has become a fan favorite, celebrating the legacy of Captain America both on and off the screen.
So almost halftime. So to check out the ice cream opportunities you have here, you have Jefferson County Democrats, and they're serving root beer floats in front of the home store on the west side of the square. And Jefferson County Right to Life, it's an ice cream stand fundraiser, homemade ice cream flavors, chocolate, lemon, vanilla, Rocky Road, and wild black raspberry. Thank you for your support. So enjoy those. Next is music from the 1975 Broadway show that won 9 Tony Awards, a Pulitzer Prize for Drama, and record-breaking Broadway run of over 6,000 performances. It's a chorus line. The entire musical takes place on a bare stage during a Broadway audition. A demanding director is casting dancers for a new show, and instead of just evaluating their technique, he asks the auditionees to tell them personal stories. As the dancers open up, we hear stories of childhood trauma and dreams, discovering identity through dance, overcoming insecurities, stereotypes, or societal pressures, and hopes, failures, and the drive to become chosen. At the end, only a few are selected, but the deeper message is clear. Everyone on that line has value. Here is music from, what is it? The chorus line. I forgot. It was clear at the top. Yeah. Such a long dissertation here. Nope, can't blame the heat. Thank you. The next one, the newest movie of the franchise, came out this summer called Jurassic World Rebirth. Although the musical score for this movie was written by a different composer, the original music of John Williams from the first movie still appears throughout the movie in different forms. We have the original music to play tonight. Here is music from Jurassic Park. Take all your mezzo pianos and turn them up 2 notches. This is so delicate, we need sound outside, okay? So don't try to play too soft.
Originally made famous by Santana and Rob Thomas in 1999, Smooth is a Grammy-winning hit that blends rock, Latin, and jazz influences into an unforgettable groove. This concert band arrangement brings that same energy to the stage, featuring driving rhythms, bold brass lines, and a cool, danceable feel. Feel free to get up and dance to the famous Santana hit, Smooth.
So those of you that've been with us the last couple of weeks, what a difference tonight, huh? Didn't it feel good compared to last week we were counting down the temperature? So much better tonight. It's a beautiful Iowa evening. Our next piece is about a rat. It's highlights from Ratatouille. Now it's a Disney movie, and it's about a rat who becomes a chef. It's kind of gross when you think of it that way, but overall it's a pretty decent movie. Despite the image I just gave you, the music from the film is even more famous than the movie itself. It's scored by one of the best known composers of our time, film composers, Michael Giacchino. I think that's right, or close. And the music is a rich and whimsical blend of Parisian charm, jazzy rhythms, and orchestral storytelling. The soundtrack captures the spirit of culinary passion, discovery, and heartfelt ambition. Here's highlights from Ratatouille. And just a little announcement in here while they get their next piece out that this was supposed to be our last concert, but we got rained out 3 weeks ago. So we're going to have another makeup one on the 12th, a week from tonight. So please come back for one more concert. I bet it's even cooler. So thank you. Yeah, we're like to make that up. So we'll see you again next Tuesday, same time, 8 o'clock only. No jazz band, just us. So it's okay. We have on this piece, this one's called An Irish Party in Third Class. It's a lively traditional melody featured in the movie Titanic, directed by James Cameron. The piece is performed during the famous third-class dance scene where Jack brings Rose below deck to experience the spirited life of the lower decks. It's lively and fun to play, and here's An Irish Party in Third Class. Thank you. Whoa, no, it's not on. There we go. There. Thank you. So it's time to finish up for the night. One other announcement. Next week, you saw some of them practicing tonight and getting what they call B-roll. I learned that yeah. But next week, our band will be filmed to be part of the last film in the Dick DeAngelis Fairfield movie series. And so you saw a drone flying around tonight and some pictures. And then next week, they'll be filming up here. So you might see a drone flying down the middle. So we'll kind of stay out of the rosebush area there if we can. And so you can come and be part of that. And there'll be a little bit before the show for that. So just telling you that. So we hope you had a good time tonight with both bands and coming out and sitting around friends and listening to some good music. And we are going to do our makeup concert next week at 8 o'clock. We're going to have Tyler close up our concert tonight with his last piece, and he'll sign us off with the national anthem after that. We hope to see you again next week. Thanks for coming.
Grand Gallop is a fast-paced, lively piece that captures the spirit of a whirlwind gallop filled with energy and flair. It showcases quick rhythms, bold dynamics, and playful melodies that challenge the performers and delight the listeners. With its virtuosic style and joyful momentum, Grand Gallop is a thrilling ride from start to finish. We would also like to ask you to join us with the playing of our national anthem at the conclusion of this final piece.